In this episode, we're going to take an exclusive first look at Microsoft's Intune suite with the head of Microsoft 365 himself, Jeremy Chapman, who also heads up the Microsoft Mechanics program. So if you're ready to learn, check this out. Greetings everyone, welcome to the channel. Andy here, so nice to see you. Hey, especially if this is your first time. Well, today I've got something really special for you. The head of Microsoft 365 himself, and also you might recognize the name from Microsoft Mechanics. Jeremy Chapman is joining me as a special guest, and we're going to walk you through all the cool new features in the Microsoft Intune suite. Yes, it used to be known as Endpoint Manager. It's getting a whole new rebrand. It's going back to its original name, which I always thought was quite funny. So there are some super cool features. And he's got some really cool demos. So make sure that you stay to the end, because I guarantee you will learn something here. All right. Now, hey, if you've not subscribed to the channel, well, hey, come on board. We love subscribers. So bump that subscribe button up there, ring that bell, and you'll be notified of any new videos. And if you enjoy the video, then please bump the like button. It really does make a difference. Now, questions, comments about this or any of my other sessions, of course, just get them down below and I will do my very best to answer them for you. So without any further ado, I want to introduce Jeremy Chapman, the director of Microsoft 365, who's going to tell us all about the new Intune suite. Hey, Jeremy, great to see you back again.
Good. Thanks, Andy. Always good to be on. Always good to connect with your audience, because you're kind of talking to the same people I like to talk to, which is, device managers, people into identity, those types of themes, and Microsoft 365. So these are my people. So thanks for having me.
So it's absolutely great to have you, Jeremy. It really is. And hey, listen, I don't know if you know this, but Jeremy has also started his own channel doing some tech reviews. And there was one particular cool one the other day where he had something like a $20 microphone. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically because a lot of us are navigating the hybrid work or work from home kind of experience. And every day I see like a lot of people with, really bad backlit shots or, 720 camera feeds and bad audio that's echoey or whatever. So everything from how to use, Microsoft Teams to what you can do to set up budget streaming, gear and setup, or, if you're trying to decide which webcam is the right webcam, because there's something at every price point. They just keep getting better and better. So a lot of that kind of stuff. And so I've been doing what I can. I hope to help, people navigate that work from home or hybrid work life that a lot of us are living.
So when it comes to tech, you can see that Jeremy really knows his stuff. So definitely check out his YouTube channel. So Jeremy, tell us about what's new and cool in Intune Suite and why I should be so excited about it.
Yeah, so if you think about, from an Intune Suite perspective, so this is an add-on to existing, Intune kind of core set of services that contains really quite a few things, and the list will grow over time as well. So right now, Endpoint Privilege Management, which is probably my favorite capability that was announced, this week, which is really cool in terms of if you've always wanted to, and I've always talked about it and worked with people that wanted to do this, but set up people as standard user accounts. And, a lot of times you kind of capitulate and set up people with local admin access, but that's not a good thing, because then, they're basically open up to install viruses or malware at full privilege and do other things. I mean, the attack landscape has gotten so crazy and so bad lately that the more people that you can run with standard user privs, the better, right? So you have something now with Endpoint Privilege Management that will allow you to do it at the process level without, you think about, there's a lot of techniques that will use JIT or just in time to say give somebody 24-hour full admin local rights, but you don't want to do that necessarily either, because then your windows open beyond the one process you want to permit, and now you've got like a window of time, 24 hours or whatever it is, or 60 minutes, that person can basically do anything and they've got full control. So now you've got a way to manage that. And I think there was always some difficulty in terms of enabling this as a standard user or using things like S mode in the past. But now with EPM, I think there's a good solution, and it's pretty attainable, and it's something that you can either get as part of the Intune suite, or you can also get it standalone as well.
And what was the decision to go back with the name Intune rather than Endpoint Manager?
The nice thing with Microsoft Endpoint Manager, and the kind of reason, and I'm channeling like Brad Anderson and some of the folks that were in part of that, naming process, was to say, hey, we've got something amazing. And I've always been a huge fan of Config Manager. You've got Config Manager over here. You've got the kind of the Intune, the cloud-based set of management tools. When you combine those together and you get basically a connected experience between the two, then that's really what you want. You want to have all of the fidelity that you get through Config Manager, but all the different cloud capabilities that you get through the Intune side effectively. But I would say, like in the time that's passed between, I want to say it was 2017, 2018, where the Microsoft Endpoint Manager naming came out. There's been so much that's happened on the Intune front to really make it really robust. And I know that you've been around, and we were both kind of Windows. You were probably Windows MVP, and I was in the Windows team at the time when Intune started out, and it was kind of a basic set of capabilities and features. Now you can do so much with it, from all the way from the application provisioning, with OS provisioning through things like autopilot, etc. So there's so much stuff that you can do now on the Intune side that it really does warrant, being its own thing and really having its own brand. And then I don't think, in the community a lot of people actually stopped calling it Intune anyway. So now it's kind of like, now we make it official. The string actually says the Microsoft Intune Admin Center. It doesn't say, Microsoft Endpoint Management Admin Center or whatever it said before. So now you have, kind of that recognition. I think that Intune is really, it's come into its own in terms of having that full feature set.
So, one of the great things, Jeremy, that I think we've all seen is how Microsoft have adopted multiple different OSs into Intune. And we've got Linux, we've now got Chrome OS, of course, joining Mac and Windows. How do you see that playing out?
Okay, so when you think about the Intune suite, and a lot of this, this is a dashboard that I built using Markdown. So you can't just drag and drop the tiles. By the way, like they're not part of what you'll find in the Intune dashboard customization, but just as a proxy for a PowerPoint slide, I guess. Intune privilege, or sorry, the Intune suite's endpoint privilege management is really, about, like we said, being able to do pinpointed per process based privilege management, so that you can elevate as an admin for that one process. And there are three different flavors of that. There are two of them that will be available at first in terms of user acknowledging that, or complete, like zero, like not zero touch, but kind of basically you won't feel it because you'll just run the app and it will have the privilege it needs. And then there's the tunnel from AM, which is basically the ability to do VPN tunneling at the app level. So if you're in the position where you might be carrying two devices, two phones, or making your users do this, this is where you can have the browser and maybe a few line of business apps that can be installed on a personal device. And there are a lot of banks and financial institutions, different parties that want to use this, where they do package up their own apps. You're basically putting a lot of the binary in the application packages using the right SDKs in order to have the app broker that Microsoft Tunnel connection back to your on-prem resources, so that you can get to files or get to local apps and resources. Then you have advanced endpoint analytics. So the vision of all of this is to be able to detect issues before they kind of manifest across multiple devices. So the dream is to be able to get to a point where you can see errors before you get contacted via help desk, via whatever modality people contact you, so that you'll see something that's trending and you can put out the fix. And then there's something that I'm excited about, that you can run like per device remediation scripts as well to go with this. So then if you know that there is going to be 6 devices impacted by this stop error restart, which is a new term for the blue screen apparently, that will actually let you run those things, maybe to fix the display driver or whatever's causing that blue screen, so that you'll be able to do that on a per device basis. And then remote help, which we've been talking about now, I want to say for almost a year or so. But that gives you this cloud-based remote help service to be able to connect to a device in various different modes. And also we're adding things like laser pointer, and chat will come soon to that service. And then, you can see like a problem that's happening, and actually it's happened to like my parents, is help desk spoofing. So people will say like, I want to fix your PC because it's loaded with malware. And my mom, bless her, will be like, okay, that sounds about right. And then she'll get on a call with someone who then wants to proceed to take control of her screen. Well, imagine like with remote help, you can see that the person that's helping you is somebody that you trust. So it's somebody in your organization or the organization that runs your help desk. And that way you can see them, they see who you are, and then you hopefully don't have that awkward experience where somebody claims to be trying to help you, but actually they're just trying to drop a command and control server on your machine or whatever they're trying to do. Yeah, I always tell my parents to hang up when they get these calls. And then the other thing for ticketing, and so ServiceNow's amazing company. Like if you've ever tried to build a CMDB or try to get ticketing services, those types of things in place, that's a great partner of Microsoft. So now we can actually flow in some of the metadata and some of the ServiceNow incident data into Intune, so you can see it in one place, and then also deep link you into the ServiceNow console to be able to manage those tickets. So those are some of the things. And of course, I mean, the whole point of this is that it's connected and part of the normal Intune admin experience. So that's why you see kind of the other things on the screen.
So you mentioned about the different modes in Endpoint Privilege Manager. Can you tell us something about that?
There's a couple of different types that are offered or that will be offered first, which is user confirmed, meaning that the user will need to actually confirm, or automatic, where the process just goes through its elevation step. You can make the user provide business justification or have Windows re-authenticate as part of the process. Yeah, so this again, as I mentioned, this kind of solves for that case where you want people to be standard users and use that level of privilege by default. This gives you that ability to pinpoint access just on the processes where you want to provide that type of privilege. Where, some of the things that really make sense, let's say, for example, you do package up your own apps and they are packaged as MSIs that need to, or bootstrappers that need privilege for that exe to run. Well, now what you can do is instead of like having to put them in Intune and figure out like which user needs them and have maybe direct them to a company portal, those types of things to do it. Maybe your apps aren't packaged up for silent install. That happens too. Now you can basically drop that exe on a file share on the local device drive if you want to, and maybe that's the process you've been using. And instead of having the user be permanently a local admin, they'll be able to install that app, and that's one case.
So this is great as it really removes the need for users to have kind of traditional local admin access, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and especially if it's only a handful of things that they need. And then like there are other things too, for example, that need to run with elevated privilege for maybe hardware, various things that they're calling, or access to other resources that require some type of elevation. I've seen people running scanners, barcode scan, whatever, different things where they might have to have elevation just for that one app to run. Well, you can basically sanction or approve that one app to run with the level of privilege that you need it to. So the way that you set this up is through the Intune Admin Center. You can set it up as either user confirmed, which basically will tell the user to approve the elevation, or you can set it up as automatic, and you can ask it for business justification, ask the user to provide business justification or to re-authenticate to make sure that the authentication is still fresh and valid. And so what that looks like on the user side is that they're going to see basically when they run it with automatic, they're just going to see the app load and run, and nothing happens in terms of putting up a user account control or similar type of prompt. Now, something that the other way to do it is where the user has to confirm. So what that process looks like is when they go to install the app, they get a prompt basically to continue, and then that's similar to like a UAC prompt, but you control when that comes, and you're controlling the process that has the elevation rights and privilege here. So then there's a third option that's not going to be available in the kind of the first release of this, which is an admin approved elevation. So it gives you kind of you would contact like we do with over the shoulder elevation or something now. And so in that process, what you're going to do is actually you'll go and you'll install the app. You'll right click and you run with elevated access, and optionally you can provide business justification or re-authenticate. That will then send a request to the IT admin here. They can decide whether or not to approve the access, and then once you do that, then you're kind of unblocked as the end user and you can run your app. So now you've got a nice end-to-end scenario that provides the ability to do pinpointed per process access. You can kind of warn the user with a prompt and make them kind of approve and know like the potential things that are happening there. And you have this ability then to do kind of manual approval from the IT side or the help desk side in order to give the elevation they need.
So I suppose we should now talk about Tunnel for MAM, which looks really exciting. Tell us about that.
But yes, tunnel for MAM. So like I mentioned, instead of having to carry two different devices, you want to, in a lot of cases, be able to just carry the one device. But you might only need access to just a few line of business apps or things that are on-prem, maybe file shares, those types of things. And so this gets you to the point where if you do know you've got, maybe the browser is your main point of entry that you want to be able to authorize in, but you don't want to own the whole device. Tunnel for MAM gives you that ability to manage it that way so that users can bring in their own device. Your apps need to be enlightened with all the binaries to do the Microsoft Tunnel connection, but at the end of the day, that means that they don't have to necessarily carry around two devices in some of those scenarios that they might be doing now. So this is recorded on an Android device, just to show you. So the implementations are a little bit different, by the way, for iOS and Android. So for iOS, all of the components in terms of like what would typically be in Defender and other pieces are part of the app package. For Android, it's a little bit different in that you need the Intune SDK for the Microsoft Tunnel component part of it, but then Defender is actually used as the other part of the tunnel connection. So there's a slightly different variation in terms of how you package your apps depending on the device platform that you're using. But what happens when you've created both of those different app packages is somebody can have a device like I've got here on Android. And so I'm launching email. I'm clicking on a dock that's on a on-premises server, and so it can connect just at the app level to Microsoft Tunnel. The rest of the device isn't enrolled in VPNs. That's the difference here, is that just the app is. And then so once it connects, the nice thing is you can get to the file, the thing that you're trying to reach, and to boot, it actually respects other MAM policies. So if you do authorize, for example, cloud apps like the Office apps, those types of things, then you can allow those as a secure viewer, in this case, like of the document that we just opened that was located in an on-prem location. So that's what you can do now with at the app level instead of the device level for Tunnel for MAM to hopefully reduce the need to have to carry multiple devices with you. So when you configure your app policy, basically you have these different options here to choose Microsoft Tunnel for MAM, to choose your base VPN connection name. If you've got a proxy, those types of things, you can configure that. But that's created in the app configuration policy. So you can use it. So basically, you just have to set it very basically. And I think that this has actually gotten better over time versus the preview days if you've been using this since the fall timeframe, in that you don't have to like go and manually define different app packages and different experiences like you had to in before. Now you just set it up for your app configuration policy in general per platform. And then, so once you've done that, it also works with your normal Microsoft app, or sorry, mobile application management policies, MAM policies for anything else that you've set as well. So you've got that nice flexibility that it does both. And just to mention again, there are on GitHub, you have to basically you download the different SDKs for iOS and for Android, depending on the applications that you want to target this for. So you do have to repackage those line of business apps. Right now, as I mentioned, things like Microsoft Edge for Android and for iOS do have the enlightenment, the Intune SDK components already built into them.
Now, one question I'm sure that everybody's going to ask is, would I need to take the entire package, or can I select the individual products if I need them?
Yeah, so both of these, the one that we just showed with Endpoint Privilege Management and Tunnel from AM, these are both things that you can buy as a la carte services that are available now. It's a $10 add-on if you've got E3 or E5, whether it's through Microsoft 365 or EMS, that you would add for all of the services. And like I said, for $3 and $3.50 per seat, they have the EPM and the Tunnel from AM add-ons. So right around $3, I think. I don't have all the prices memorized again, but yeah, there's a la carte option there as well.
And availability? What about that?
It's being rolled out now. Everything showed up on the price list on March 1st. That's when we announced everything. There are some capabilities, by the way, like Tunnel from AM, for example, where we've had it in preview, for 6 months or something for a while that you can do. And remote help's been around for a while too. So there's some things that are there now that you can try.
So I have to ask about the endpoint analytics. That looks really cool.
All right. So there's always been this kind of chicken and egg thing. Like, do I wait for the help desk to call before, the help desk activity before I start issuing fixes? Or is there a way that I can issue fixes before my help desk, chat line or whatever modality I'm using to contact users actually starts to see activity? Well, we're trying to make that so that you can basically see the signal, the events, everything in advance of maybe something that's more crippling, that's going to reach more users than the first wave of impacted devices. So with advanced endpoint analytics, this is something that we're adding that actually gives you the ability to kind of do more predictive maintenance, which I think is the goal here, the vision that you'd be able to see events, a trend before they start to happen, and then you'll know, like, based on what's happening, these are the 3 or the 6 or like the 2 or the 4, as you see on the screen, impacted devices that are part of that. So here, for example, I've got Endpoint Analytics open on the anomaly detection. We can see there are a couple anomalies that we've found where there are anomalies out in the wild that are impacting the devices that you manage. So what that then gives you is the ability to be able to investigate those and see, like, where you are impacted. So when you go into the affected devices, you can get a drill down into which devices exactly by name are impacted. And you can see even a timeline of the events and see what's actually happening and know what in this case, the app crash anomaly is. So let's say for that, you might want to deploy a new version of that app package that doesn't have, this anomaly in it. Same thing for the last one we saw, stop error events, blue screens. Those might be a driver related issue where you want to replace the driver package and send one out, because the nice thing is you'll see that on maybe device 1 or device 2, but before it ripples out to your other 1,000 devices that have that driver or this app installed, you can issue a fix before the help desk starts to blow up.
And Jeremy, you were telling me that this fully integrates with the likes of ServiceNow, right?
Yeah, so speaking of help desk, so one of the best, help desk tools that a lot of people are using today, and probably I'd say the leader in terms of ticketing systems, is ServiceNow. So something that I think is super exciting is the ability to take the ServiceNow data and kind of flow that metadata back into Intune. So then you have visibility, not only kind of, what the devices are, the users, the devices the users have, and all the kind of normal data that you would have for those types of cases where maybe somebody's calling you or contacting you. But you can also see the history of help desk events by that user, that user object that's actually calling into you. So you can see, like, okay, there's a history here for these types of events, and deep link that back into ServiceNow so you can actually investigate, what happened in a previous ticket, for example. So let me just show you what that looks like. So this is actually pretty cool stuff. Here, I've got the Intune Admin Center open, and you can see there's already ServiceNow incident metadata that's flowed in. So these are all the events, in this case from Steve Dispenza, great guy, who's calling us a lot apparently. But you can tell that, he's had quite a few different issues. I can see short descriptions. I can drill into each of these. But the nice thing is, and you can see on the left column here with incident by that little icon that's it's linking you out of the Intune Admin Center. By that icon, you can tell that it's a deep link. In addition to all the different device-based information that you'd have, you also have the ServiceNow incidents there and the details. And now I'll click into one of these, and then it deep links you directly into the ServiceNow portal, so you can see who helped on that call, what the call information was, for that incident, and you'll be able to get to the history really easily to be able to kind of click between the two different portals.
Now, I think one of the most anticipated features is definitely this remote help. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so like you said, my mom or your ma'am might need help. For example, now any user actually who's going to be calling that might need some remote assistance, that might need you to drive their machine remotely to be able to do a task, or instruct that user on how to maybe repeat something they can do because they just don't understand how to use software, whatever the case may be. This gives you that ability to do it as a cloud managed service, so that you can basically fire up those remote desktop sessions against a Windows device, and soon we're adding Android to this too, so I can show you what both of those look like. And the cool thing is we're adding more and more functionality to it. So if you've looked at remote help in the past, there are additional capabilities and controls that really make the experience even better now, and we'll be adding more to it as well. So let me show you a first look at what some of that looks like. This time I'm going to throw you off again, and I'll start in the admin experience and show you kind of how to get everything configured. So first off, remote help is part of the admin settings and admin experience, and so you can set it up to where you can allow remote help again against or not against unenrolled devices. So if you want to do personal devices, which is nice if say the person's trying to get a device connected to whatever Azure AD and join the device, that gives you the ability to be able to do that. Obviously, some organizations are going to want that device to already be part of enrollment or enrolled into their management before they do it. So you've got that option there. And as I mentioned, chat's coming, so you'll be able to do chat as well. So once you've enabled remote help, then what that gives you is the ability to have role-based access control in terms of the controls that you're allowed to take based on the technician type that's running it. And so you can, for example, allow full control or not allow full control, those kind of things, and you can scope those policies by user. So maybe your help desk techs have different level of access versus your device administrators that are in a different group. So you can do that too. And conditional access will work with this as well in terms of having the right conditional access controls to make sure that everything is connecting in a healthful way in terms of how to get to the service. So then once you're in, so from a process perspective, so here Adele is actually trying to get help, in this case from Megan. We always use these great names, Adele and Megan. She needs to know that Megan is a legit help desk tech. So Megan's image fires up. You can see that she's from the right domain. Megan will see that in this case the device is not compliant. So here you can back out. If you see that it's not matching your policies, you'll be able to see that. Something new is copy paste. So you just saw we can copy paste from the helper's machine into the requester's machine, and then the laser pointer as well is something that we can do. And here is the chat experience that isn't out yet, but this is something that's coming that we're working on to allow for back and forth text-based chat to the side of the actual remote help experience also. This is probably the best part. There's probably a lot of people out there that are using Android devices, and this is for enterprise-owned, enrolled, dedicated Android devices. So here you'll be able to, even with a phone, basically, or tablet, you'll be able to request screen sharing, request full control, or initiate unattended control, which is actually pretty exciting. As long as the device is on connected, that you can broker the connection to it, you'd be able to configure the device. So think about these cases where you might have frontline workers with a bunch of devices on a charging rack, and you want to configure them for the next shift, the next day. This is something that you can do now remotely, or you will be able to do remotely. This is the first look at what that will look like. once you have everything set up and you've got your devices enrolled and ready for remote help, you just pick the accession type that you want. You can initiate this is for initiating access to the device unattended. You can initiate unattended access and remotely control that device to configure it and get it ready then for the next day. So this is something I think that's going to be pretty exciting in terms of, expanding beyond just what you can do in Windows to be able to also, manage your devices if they're running Android. So and in this, we'll be adding more and more capabilities and probably platforms over time, but this will be the first, one in addition to Windows that you'll be able to control. And I believe last fall, so the intentions are to be able to do remote help with Mac OS devices as well. So all of these things are in the roadmap in terms of making that remote help experience better.
So Jeremy, I just want to say thanks so much for showing us Intune Suite. I really do appreciate it, and it certainly looks really exciting.
We're pretty excited about what you can do with Intune, and just the amount of progress that Intune, like you said, was made, especially in the time since we've been covering it and working with those teams. It's pretty exciting to see how much you can do in terms of cloud management for unified endpoint and really getting everything in one place.
Now, if you want to hear more from Jeremy, then definitely check out his YouTube channel at Deploy Jeremy, and he's also on most social networks as well. And also, don't forget Microsoft Mechanics over there, a fantastic website for learning as well. All right. Thanks again, Jeremy.
Thanks so much.
So there you have it. Wasn't that a great session? Thanks so much to Jeremy Chapman, director at Microsoft 365 and of course host of Microsoft Mechanics. Now, if you enjoyed that, please bump the like button. It really does make a difference to my channel. And of course, if you've not subscribed, then hell, come on board. Hit that subscribe button up there, ring that bell, and come on join our great community. That's it for this week. I'll see you next time around. Take care. Hey, thanks so much for dropping by today. Here's a couple of videos that you may enjoy, and while you're here, go ahead, click on the subscribe button and you won't miss out.